Okay, now comes the great moment. Aristotle's student, Alexander the Great. This is a Roman mosaic. That's another kind of mind. And what's he doing? 332, the Battle of Arbela. He is defeating Darius III, a young, brilliant soldier whose father was a great military man. He designs military methods that just went way beyond what anyone had thought of before. And in a lightning flash, I mean, within 15 years, this young man has conquered all of the older systems in the Near East around him. Fall of Persia, he rushes right through and goes to India. And in the Punjab, he enters the Punjab around 327 BC. And it was there that the first encounter, and it's been described, of the Western mind and the Oriental guru takes place. He had a lot of young officers who were also students of Aristotle and philosophers and so forth, and they had heard that there was a school of Indian philosophers out in the forest. So with about 98 interpreters, they go out to talk to this school. And what they come to and find is a group of old, naked codgers sitting on a burning hot rock. And when they propose to talk philosophy, the old yogis say, who can talk philosophy with young men wearing military boots and capes? Take your clothes off, sit on a rock for about 90 years, and we can begin to talk. But one of them was interested. And he got up to the jeers of all the others and went off with these chaps and became quite a favorite at Alexander's banquet table. Alexander may have been a little bit tired of Aristotle by that time. And he became really a great favorite and was given presents and gifts and so forth. But when the army then turned back, they didn't want to go any further east and started back into Persia. When he came to Persia, out of his India, he said, build me a great pyre. He climbed up, sat in yoga posture on the top of the pyre, and with the elephants of Alexander's army trumpeting and doing sunwise turns around the pyre, he said, all right, touch a match to it. And there, in yoga posture, he went up in flame. This was Europe's encounter with the philosophy of the East, and it hasn't recovered since. But what happened in India as a result of Alexander was a ripple of effects and the fall of one dynasty after another. And we find as early as the 1st century BC, in Orissa, at the other end of India, Greek soldiers guarding temples, Greek mercenaries, and favorites in the harems of North India at that time were the Greek women. And so there takes place a very strong Greek influence. And the most important figure to derive from this in India was Ashoka. His dates are the middle of the 3rd century BC, around 350 BC. Ashoka was the first emperor to become a Buddhist. It's thought he may have been a Jain before that, but he becomes a Buddhist. He had conquered the north of India and a good deal of the east, and then he became overwhelmed with the realization of the sorrow that he had brought about through his conquest. And the Buddhist realization all life is sorrowful overwhelmed him, and he became a Buddhist. This is the first Buddhist monarch. And he sent missionaries, now this is important, to Ceylon. He sent his own son and daughter to Ceylon to found the mission there. He sent missionaries also, and these are announced in his dictates, his statements that are engraved in rock and marble. Missionaries to Macedonia, to Cyprus, to Egypt. 300 BC, 250 so, we begin to have Buddhist missionaries in the Near East. And it's at that time that Neoplatonic philosophy begins to arise. There have been very good, important studies, a man named Garbutt in German, for example, of paralleling Neoplatonic and Sankhya philosophies. And there's no doubt about it. The influence began coming over. So we begin then to have a synthesis of the Eastern and Western thinking. Now this